Wow, what a time in these markets. First, we have the markets tanking because of tariff announcements, and then a week later, we have them surging higher because of a shift in policy. So let's dig in. This is the E-mini S&P 500 futures front month June 2025 contract chart. Is a weekly time frame. That means every candlestick is an entire week of price action. And look at the size of this move. We haven't had a move this big, no matter where we end up this week, since a long time. Not November, not, July. It's been a minute. So let's dig in. And what I really want to do by the end of this video is give you some key levels to watch. Now, if you're a futures trader like I am, then you can definitely get more insights by getting my S&P Edge Pro research, but this is a high level for you as part of my tribe. All right. So first thing I want to talk about is price action, because if you know my trifecta, I start with price action. And we retraced 75% of the advance from the October 2023 low and did it in beautiful fashion. Just tested it by a few points, like 20 points on a weekly chart. That's great. Notice also momentum, the second part of my trifecta, the RSI power zones fell into the bear support power zone. So all this time in the past week, well, when people weren't quite sure if the downside was over, I saw the return to bear support. And so as early as Monday morning, I was expecting a rebound, and that did occur, but I wasn't sure yet if it was going to be the rebound. So now let's go something different. Let's take this exact chart and just make it a daily chart, okay? So you can do top-down analysis by having separate charts, but I just want to show you this. Holy moly, look at the size of this. All right, so let's take a look at the perspective of this first. So we have a move down from February 19th to March 12th, a recovery to March 26th, and so far a move down to April 4th, and now this recovery. Now, here's the thing. You may not like this news, but this wild, strong day today, to me, does not end the down move we've been in. So I'm going to remove the 75% now and just bring your focus in, okay? So let's go back to that February high. Drop, recovery, and then this high formed here, right? Drop, so a lower high, and now we have a surge. But notice we didn't take out the April 2nd high. Also, the RSI power zones on the daily chart of the ES are still relatively within the bear zones, especially since the January activity and the peak in February. Now, we're in such a volatile environment that I'm not going to just put my foot down and say the trend is still down, watch for a reversal lower. I'm going to kind of dissect it further to do that. One thing I am going to consider is the old low from the April 2nd range. So this entire April 2nd range is really, really important resistance. And I just want to mark those two levels first, and then we capture the midpoint. So I really dig into how I discern support and resistance, some of my favorite methods in my 4 zones RSI covered system. So if you've got that, then you know some of what I'm pulling here and why I'm selecting it, and we'll go from there. Now, before I shift to the 60-minute chart, if you are one of my Gann candlestick students, you'll ask, is this a nano large green candle? It's not. Go to your lessons that talk about the range of the body versus the range of the candle. It's a large candle, don't get me wrong, but it's not a typical nano large green candle. All right, with that being said, I'm going to change this to a 60-minute time frame. So I'm not going to my chart that I use for my personal trading. I'm going to just this blank chart. All right. So during the early morning session, we got this inside bar before the market opened, ending at 9 a.m. that hour. That was my first clue that we might be going higher. And throughout my futures trading lab today, we were looking at long opportunities. Now, our session ended at 10 a.m. Then there was the market pause, and then whatever news came out. Here, though, the hour ending at 2 p.m. is a nano candle. So I'm just going to mark the levels. All right, so now I have marked the nano levels. Again, if you want to apply those techniques, that's in the Gann candlesticks trading system. And where are things at the moment? Well, let's bring in forecasting, right? That bottom axis of the chart. All right, so I brought in some forecasts. So here's my game plan that I will update in my intraday reports, but here's the big picture, okay? So we overshot a short-term forecast for the market to turn higher and actually make a high and then trade lower. That means the market is stronger than the cycle unit I measured. But here's the thing. When you bring in advanced loss forecasting, then we have additional targets. So 5581.63. Okay, this light purple line right here, I'll move the label so you can see it. 5581.63 or 5818.25. Those are advanced forecasting targets that could be the next areas of important resistance, and they should be met by 7 p.m. on Thursday, April 10th. So with futures, there's a maintenance hour. That's where I am right now, that time between 5 and 6 p.m. Eastern. That's when the futures market's not moving its close. It'll pick back up at 6 p.m. Eastern. So this 1900 hours, 7 p.m. is an actual tradable time. All right. So that's the upside story that I think is ahead for Thursday. Again, based on the current information. Where do I think that there's key support? Well, two areas. The nano level of this green candle and this most recent price low. So 5352 to 5321.63 is an important support zone. If we break below that before heading higher to one of these purple intersections, then I think futures are still in a more sideways range and going to have more chop heading back into this congestion in this 5,000 area. So lots to see as the market action unfolds along with the news. If you found value in this video, got some lessons, got some reminders, please give it a like. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Better yet, drop a comment down below with your feedback, and I'll catch you soon.